Hey guys, it's Chris at Highline Guitars, and you're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, I'll have earned your subscription. And to everybody else, if you're enjoying this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. I started building guitars about 20 years ago, a little bit more than 20 years ago. And at that time, there weren't a lot of resources available to help me learn the art and science and the techniques and the processes required for building a solid body electric guitar. There was the internet, of course, and at that time there were some blogs, there were a number of forums on the internet where you could ask a question and hopefully a member of the forum would chime in and answer. Those still exist to this day, although now we call them social media. But there was no YouTube at the time. And for me to learn how to do it, the only thing I could think of was to go to a library and find a book on the subject of building electric guitars. And as it just so happens, the library in my community had a couple of books on building guitars. One was specific to electric guitars, solid body electric guitars, and the other was specific to building acoustic guitars. So I checked the book out, both of them, and I set about learning how to build a guitar. And those books were invaluable to the point where I ended up purchasing those books so that I'd always have them on hand. I wouldn't have to keep going to the library and checking them out. At any rate, one thing I discovered along the way as I was building those first few guitars is that a written description for a technique or a process oftentimes doesn't include all the very subtle details, the little nuances that you need to know in order for the technique or the process to work. And I think that's partly because the authors will assume that you understand how to use certain types of tools and understand certain basic techniques. But what I found more than anything was it takes experience to master some of those techniques. And what happens is as you're doing the same techniques over and over and over is you develop the skills and some of that intuitive feel for how to do the techniques. So around 2008, I decided to create my YouTube channel, Highline Guitars. And this is about 3 years after YouTube first came into being. When I first saw YouTube, I realized right away this could be a great resource for teaching people how to build electric guitars because you're not just reading about it, you're watching somebody actually do it. And I felt like that was going to get us closer to being able to explain how to do things. Well, in truth, that's only partially true. Yes, you can watch somebody sand a guitar and apply finish. You can watch somebody level, crown, and dress the frets. You can watch somebody do a setup. And you can get a pretty good idea of what needs to be done. The problem is there are still some subtleties, little details that oftentimes aren't translated even in a video so that you don't always know what those details are. This has become somewhat obvious to me over the years from the comments that I read from some of the viewers. I'll show a technique or explain a technique and demonstrate it, and somebody will comment that they tried it and it didn't work, or they have questions about why I chose a certain technique because they think it's going to cause problems for some reason. And what I often will tell people is it takes experience, repetitive experience to master some of these skills. Yes, you can watch a video and get the basic idea of what needs to be done, but until you actually do it and do it over and over and over, you're not going to learn some of the very subtle nuances that are required to be successful at that skill. Now, let me give you an example. A viewer recently posted on a video where I was demonstrating how to fill a knot hole. And the comment that they left was they were concerned that the technique I was demonstrating would cause a divot or a cavity to form where I was doing the repair. And my response to that was, not if you have good sanding technique, which is the honest truth. However, other viewers who read that comment chimed in and thought I was being kind of snarky in my comment because I didn't go into great detail to explain why. Well, in my opinion, telling somebody they need to have experience doing something is really explanation enough. But I think what upset them is there's this assumption that people have when they watch a YouTube video that they can walk away an expert on how to do whatever the video talked about doing. And we see that a lot in videos, and I know that I'm guilty of this too. I'll watch a video where someone is demonstrating how to do something and I'll think, well, that makes perfect sense. That I can do that. And then when I try to do it, I struggle because there is so much more involved. There is subtle details. There is tactile feedback of actually doing it. And all these things will conspire to make it difficult to succeed right out of the gate. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people will assume that if they watch a video on how to do something, they will be an expert at how to do it. And it just doesn't work that way. If it did, the world would be a much simpler place and we'd all be making guitars and making spectacular guitars the first time out. But it just doesn't work that way. It takes experience and knowing how to perform certain tasks, and you can only learn those by doing them over and over and over. So if you want to be a successful luthier, or even if you're just going to be building one guitar, or even if you're just building a kit, if you want success at completing that task, you have to be prepared for the fact that because you haven't done it a lot over and over and over, it may not succeed. Now, that's not to say it definitely won't succeed. You may get lucky and it may work. When I built my first guitar, it came out perfect. I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, this is really easy. Then I started building more guitars. And that's when I learned it's not so easy, because every time I would try a new technique or a new skill, I discovered that because I hadn't mastered those skills, I had a lot of trouble getting the results that I was after. So what I am hoping to convey in this video is that when you watch my videos or anybody else's videos on how to do something, and it doesn't matter whether it's building guitars or, fly fishing or knitting a sweater or anything, oftentimes it takes repetitious execution to achieve success. And I don't want that to be a downer or a reason for you not to try it, because that's the whole essence of pursuing a hobby, is trying to get better and better and better as you do it. And that's one of the reasons why when people build a guitar for the first time, they get hooked. And then they want to build another guitar because they want to take what they learned building that first guitar and try to perfect it in the second guitar. Well, you end up doing 3, 4, 5, 10 guitars before you start to really master the techniques and are able to do so without too much concern for the potential to fail. And I know that at this stage, when I build a guitar, it's only when I'm doing something really off the wall or something I've never done before that I run the potential of failure. But I've also found that when I do that sort of work, that experimental thinking outside of the box, thinking outside of the room that the box is in, that's when I enjoy it the most, because I know I'm testing myself, I'm pushing my skills to the limit, and I'm improving my ability to build guitars. After about the 10th guitar that I had built, I decided to build an acoustic guitar. And I did it entirely from scratch. I made all the jigs and the molds and I even made my own bending iron to do it. And after I completed that guitar, which was an incredible success, I had learned new skills that I could apply to building electric guitars. So I guess in the end, if If you're trying or struggling with a technique and a skill and you come to my channel to watch a video on how to do it, even if you have questions and ask those questions, oftentimes I will try to give you the most honest answer I can. And oftentimes it's not going to sit well with people because in this era of instantaneous results, it can be tough to hear someone tell you, you need to have experience, you need to practice it, you need to do it over and over and over before you're going to master the skill and get it right. Because a lot of people want to get it right on that first guitar they built, that one guitar that they may ever build. So I hope this video has given you some food for thought with regards to this. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this subject. Be sure to leave them down in the comment section below, and that might help to inform and educate everybody out there, because after all, that's what my channel is for, to help inform and educate and to help get you a little bit closer to being able to master the techniques that you need to build guitars. I'm not saying you're going to get there the first time out, but at least I can provide the basic information to kind of get you started in that direction. So at any rate, if you're new to the channel, again, welcome. For everybody else, including the new viewers, please consider giving the video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to help support my channel financially, please consider visiting my eGuitar Plans website and purchasing a plan for guitars and the tools that we use to build guitars. And you can also purchase those same plans from my YouTube merch shelf down below, along with some t-shirts. So at any rate, until the next episode, as always, take care, stay safe, and I hope you'll be back for the next episode.